A mother will spend the next few decades in prison after the teenager she was dating killed her 4-year-old daughter. We are going to be sitting down with Octavia Aquino's grandmother to talk about the case's resolution after more than a year of investigation, court hearings, and grief. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. This disturbing case out of Evansville, Indiana, has finally come to a conclusion, as the last suspect, the last defendant, has pleaded guilty and now has accepted her punishment from a Vanderburgh Superior Court judge. We have been covering this case for more than a year now. This is after authorities arrested 24-year-old Destiny Rhoades and her then 16-year-old lover Christian Gonzalez in June of 2024. According to Evansville police, Rhoades left her 4-year-old daughter, Octavia Aquino, in Gonzalez's care. Even after, by the way, she learned he had abused her, and that was a terrible decision to make. A medical examiner determined that Octavia had blunt force trauma to the head and neck when she was rushed to a hospital. She was kept on life support for several days, and her biological father decided to donate her organs so that other people would have a better chance of living a life. And she died on Father's Day. By the way, the New York Post reported that a father out of the Bronx here in New York, Freddie Ramirez, father to a young boy with autism, received Octavia's kidney, saved his life. He had been very sick. He was on dialysis. And obviously, you see, Octavia has been affecting people's lives, even in her death. Now, I want to do a recap on this case because it's very important to know how we got here. So Rhoades had an unofficial custody sharing agreement with Octavia's father, but at this time, the 4-year-old was living with her mom and her mom's underage boyfriend, along with several other women in this apartment out in Evansville. During a police interview, Rhoades admitted that she would sometimes leave Octavia alone with Gonzalez and that he would swat her hand or take away her tablet as a form of discipline. And when an unresponsive Octavia was taken to the hospital on June 14th, investigators went to the apartment. They were looking for Gonzalez, and they found him hiding in a bathroom. By the way, he told police his name was Alex and that he was 20 years old. That was a lie. And a background check revealed he was Christian Gonzalez, a teen reported missing from Fort Wayne. And police also discovered that Rhoades had been arrested just a few months before that for helping Gonzalez escape from a juvenile detention facility. A protective order was in place to protect Gonzalez from Rhoades, but he was living with her. Now, police interviewed the female roommates as well, and one said that the day before Octavia was found unresponsive, she came downstairs and saw concerning marks on this little girl's neck. And when she asked Gonzalez about it, he said, "Oh, a cat scratched her." This was more than a scratch, though. The roommate said she saw bruising and even a human bite mark on Octavia's arm. At one point, Octavia was throwing up, so the roommate took her to the McDonald's where Rhoades had been working. And the police report states that Octavia herself told her mom that Gonzalez had bitten her and placed his hand over her mouth. So she was aware of what was going on. Now, Rhoades reportedly came home, confronted Gonzalez about what happened, but he wouldn't admit to anything, apparently. And then she and the roommate decided to lie and tell Gonzalez that there was a camera in the living room that had caught everything, right? You know, keep him on notice, keep him on watch. And then Gonzalez allegedly admitted to biting Octavia on the arm because he claims the 4-year-old bit him first. This is according to a police report. And after all that, Rhoades ended up leaving Octavia again in Gonzalez's care. There was one time where she went to get food, I believe on the night of June 13th, and then again on June 14th when she went to work. There were more details that were revealed in police reports that documented what Rhoades told investigators. Quote, "I confirmed that Destiny had seen the injuries on the victim's neck on June 13th. When I asked Destiny about the injuries to the victim's neck, she admitted that it appeared that the male had most likely grabbed her around the neck with his hand. When I asked why her daughter had thrown up, she said that it was most likely due to her being anxious. Destiny agrees that this could have been because her daughter had just been strangled and bit by the male. When I asked Destiny why she had decided to leave her daughter with the male after learning about the prior abuse, she explained that she did not believe anything bad would happen because the male believed there was a camera in the living room. When I asked Destiny why she didn't call the police to report the abuse, she said that she wanted to. She also stated that she was worried about what would happen to the male because he was only 16 years old. She was concerned that he would be removed from her. She eventually admitted that she was concerned that either she or the male would get in trouble. I asked if she was concerned that the male would hurt the child again. Destiny said because of this incident, she told the male that he needed to go back home. When I asked why this discussion happened the night before, she stated it was because of her daughter. Destiny said she had tried to get the male to go home several times, but that he was a, quote, very manipulative child, and she loved him as, quote, a son. Talking lawsuits here, you know who, by the way, are experts in litigation? Our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest injury law firm. This is a firm with over 1,000 attorneys. You know why they have so many? Because they win a lot. Listen to this. They have recovered over $25 billion for more than 500,000 clients. Think about that. In the past few months, a client in Florida received $12 million after the insurance company offered just $350,000. Out in Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million. That is 40 times the insurer's $650,000 offer. Another client in Pennsylvania received $29 million after being offered only $500,000. And even if you think your case isn't worth millions of dollars, why not start a claim and fight for what you deserve? Morgan & Morgan makes it so simple. You can start a claim from your phone in just 8 clicks. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/LC Sidebar by clicking the link below or scanning the QR code on screen. Now, Gonzalez was originally charged with battery resulting in serious bodily injury. That was upgraded to felony murder when Octavia died. And after a trial back in January, a jury convicted him. And since he was a minor, he wasn't eligible for the death penalty. In fact, in sentencing documents, the court addresses Gonzalez's age by saying court finds mitigating circumstance to be that the defendant was only 16 years of age at the time of the offense. Court further finds that the aggravating circumstances outweigh the mitigating circumstance. Now, Gonzalez, he's appealing his conviction. That appeal was apparently filed in March of 2025, within days of his sentencing. The latest court records show that an entire transcript of Gonzalez's trial has now been transferred to the appellate court for review. But we have to talk about Rhoades. So Rhoades decided not to go to trial. Instead, she entered a guilty plea. Now, she originally had been charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor, where the child commits the offense of murder, neglect of a dependent resulting in death, invasion of privacy, which appears to have been connected to the order that Rhoades stay away from Gonzalez. But in the end, the contributing to the delinquency of a minor and invasion of privacy charges, they were dismissed in exchange for Rhoades pleading guilty to the neglect charge. And according to her sentencing paperwork, she was sentenced on August 7th to 20 years in prison plus 5 years probation. All right, I am joined once again by Linda Alvarez. This is Octavia's paternal grandmother, who, if anybody's been following us here on Sidebar, knows that we have had a number of conversations. We've spoken several times about how this case, during the course of this case and as it's progressed. Linda, it is so good to see you again. This is a major update. Do you feel like you finally have a sense of resolution? I don't want to say closure, but a sense of resolution now that both of the guilty parties are in prison, and they're going to be in prison for quite some time?
I do, definitely, for him. I've always had mixed feelings with Destiny because of the relationship we had. It makes me sad, but I'm glad that I'm glad that it's over and we don't have to continue to keep dealing with the courts and everything else. I think that the punishment that she received, I don't want to say is fair. How I feel about the case, when it comes to her, just differs from everybody else. And I don't know. I can never really put it into words. Even when I spoke at court, I had a hard time verbalizing exactly what I wanted to say to her. I had it all written down and thought I was just so angry with her. And then when it came to be the time to talk to her and stuff, I couldn't say the things that I thought I was going to be able to say. And so, yeah, yes, I'm glad that it's all said and done. I feel like it'll never be closure.
And obviously nothing's going to bring Octavia back. What exactly did you say in court, and what were you hoping to say?
right after everything had happened, I had made this really long Facebook post that I had posted to her page, and it was pretty hateful to say the least, and it was just what I was feeling at the time. And um, I was just having a hard time deciding what I wanted to say to her, and so I printed that out and I brought that with me. And I also I had wrote a poem. It was called One Year Without Octavia. And when I think it was back on Father's Day, um, even though Father's Day fell a day before technically the year, she died on Father's Day. So that's
Mm.
always going to be significant for us. Um, we did like a dove release in honor of Octavia, and I read that poem. And so I brought the poem with me to court and I read it in court also. I started to read the other letter and I kept getting fumbled with my words and just feeling really bad with some of the things that was there. It was really hard just seeing her there and watching her cry and knowing what was, going to happen to her for such a long time. And I just didn't have the heart to be mean to her because I loved her so much. And deep down I do. I still love her. She was like my daughter. And I've said it before, I didn't just lose Octavia, I lost her too. So that's just something I've been struggling with.
I understand. It's such a complicated situation. Do you want to stay in touch with her? I mean, do you want to visit her in prison? Do you want to talk to her um, in
I
prison?
don't
Do you want to
know
maintain a
if I want to
relationship?
visit. I don't know if I want to visit her in prison. I have talked to her twice since court. I did two video visits because I was able to just tell her how I felt and how I was sorry that things are the way that they were, and to let her know, because I didn't know if she knew or not, that I had given an urn of ashes to her dad at court, and so he would have them for when she was released. She had, that part of her daughter still, at least, because I mean it's her child too. She deserves to have that. And I don't know, we just kind of just talked about old times and just fun things we used to do. And I asked her if she was scared, and she said that she was at peace and that she knew her daughter would want her to live and survive and, get better and have a better life and do better things whenever she did get out.
Linda, Gonzalez decided to take his case to trial. Didn't work out well for him. Destiny chose to take a plea deal. Didn't go to trial. What was your reaction to that?
Um, I was sad. I was sad. I didn't know. I was kind of confused because the prosecutors originally said that they weren't even going to offer her a plea deal. So it kind of threw me off. And then I was kind of sad. I mean, I knew that if she went to trial that she would get found guilty. I just didn't know like how long she would get. And what bothers me is that I've known Destiny, like I've seen her as a mom. I've seen her as a person, and she's made some horrible mistakes, like doing the things that she did with Christian and everything. Like there's no excuse for any of that, and I'm not trying to make excuses for her because what she did was wrong, and she made poor choices and decisions, and the outcome of it is losing my granddaughter, her daughter. But it just um I it was just kind of difficult because it was like set in stone instead of like court not knowing what the judge was going to give her and maybe being a little bit more lenient on her since she had already lost her daughter. So that, I guess, it was a little hard because it was like, okay, this is what she's going to do. There's no like, okay, the judge will have a little bit of mercy on her. Like, this is what it is.
Does she realize those mistakes? I mean, obviously she pled guilty, and there could be a number of reasons why someone would plead guilty, but does she realize the choices that she made led to Octavia's death? Does she realize her mistakes?
She does. She was telling me how, I mean, she was telling me how stupid she is, and that she was sorry that, she didn't listen to me, and that, she apologized for lying, and just I mean, she was just she sounded sincere. I mean, I can't know what's in someone's heart, but hearing her and just her voice and knowing her, I want to believe that, she means it, and she said that she took the plea deal and pled guilty because she knew that it was her fault. She knew that she said that she failed as a mom, and that she didn't protect her daughter, and that, you know, she should have did better. She shouldn't have had him around. She should have listened to us. She should have, just a long list of should have, and didn't.
I started this by talking to you about this might be a sense of resolution, legal resolution, but as we reported earlier, Gonzalez immediately appealed his case. And obviously,
Yeah.
as that makes its way to the court system, there's always a potential that, conviction, a sentence could be overturned if you appeal. Not a guarantee. It's kind of an uphill battle. But at the same time, how do you feel about that, knowing that that part still continues?
Um, to be honest, I'm not worried about it. It was an ironclad trial. It's what's the word? Customary, or like it's just, that's what they do, to file an appeal. But I mean, there's really nothing that, they can say, oh, well, this happened, and, there's a discrepancy. During the whole trial, there was one objection or two objections. One was overruled and one was sustained. So, I mean, there's really nothing that they can argue. So, I mean, even the prosecutor's not worried about them getting, the appeal. She says she's 99.9% positive it would get denied.
Yeah. I mean, based on what I've seen, I tend to agree. I don't really know what the argument would be for an appeal or what the arguments they might mount, but, we'll wait and see. Before I let you go, I want to talk a little bit more about Octavia. You've described her before. She sounded like such a special little girl. I've seen videos. She was incredible, beautiful. And I reported before that even in her death, she's affecting people's lives. Her organs were donated. She saved the life of a father in the Bronx. Her kidney was donated. What can you tell us about that? I mean, that's pretty incredible. Even in her death, she's helping people.
Um, yeah, it's been awesome. I've, to this day, still been in contact with two of the recipients. The lady in Wisconsin whose son received her heart has sent me like memos with the heartbeat so I can hear it. Um, the people in New York message me often just asking how we're doing, and just give updates, and I get to follow them and see like them, live their happy life, and her live on through them. So it's sad that she's not here, but it brings a lot of joy knowing that she's living on through others, and others are still here because of her.
That's it's difficult to think about, but it's a beautiful thing to also think about. Linda, you're a very special person. We always
Thank you.
welcome talking to you, and this door is always open to continue the conversation about the case, about Octavia. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it, and we are sending nothing but well wishes to you, your family, and also let's extend it to all the recipients who are, who are living a new life because of Octavia. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate you.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.